If you have been seeing headlines about President Trump and $2,000 stimulus dividend checks, stay with me for the next few minutes, because there is critical context behind this story that most videos are either glossing over or getting completely wrong. If you are on Social Security, SSDI, SSI, or any fixed income, you deserve the full picture before you start planning around money that may or may not arrive. Let's go through this carefully and honestly. The idea of a tariff dividend check first surfaced in July 2025 when President Trump announced that Americans would receive what he called a dividend, not a stimulus check, but a dividend. That word choice is worth pausing on because a dividend, in the traditional sense, is something you receive regularly, like a shareholder receiving a portion of company profits. What is being discussed here is a one-time payment, funded potentially through savings generated by the Department of Government Efficiency and through tariff revenue collected by the federal government. Several analysts and economists have pushed back on calling this a dividend for exactly that reason. A single check is not a dividend, but the name stuck, and that is what millions of Americans are now waiting for. Now let's talk about the money itself. The figure being discussed is $2,000. According to statements from Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, the intention is that these checks would go to Americans earning $100,000 or less per year. That is a significant portion of the country, and it explains why this story is resonating so strongly, particularly among low and middle-income Americans and seniors on fixed incomes who are already feeling squeezed. Food prices, according to the CBS Price Tracker, are up 19.1%. Gas prices are climbing. Basic necessities are more expensive than they were a year ago. The financial pressure is real, and the appeal of a $2,000 check in that environment is completely understandable. Some analysts have even argued the amount should be $5,000 rather than $2,000, given the scale of inflation Americans are facing and the economic uncertainty created by ongoing geopolitical tensions. But here is where you need to pay close attention, because this is the part most videos skip over. The timeline on these checks has shifted multiple times, and that pattern matters. When Scott Bessent first commented on the program, he suggested the checks could go out to Americans in the first 3 months of 2026. That is why so many people were expecting something in January, February, or March of this year. We are now in the middle of March 2026, and there has been no payment, no signed legislation, and no official announcement from the IRS, the Social Security Administration, or the Treasury Department confirming a payment date, a payment amount, or a confirmed eligibility list. That Q1 2026 window has come and gone without action. After that, the timeline shifted again. President Trump indicated the checks would go out in the middle of 2026. Then the timeline moved again, this time to the end of 2026. And then, in a recent interview with the New York Times, when pressed directly on when these checks would actually reach Americans, President Trump said they would arrive sometime. That single word is the most honest summary of where this program stands right now. There is no locked-in date. There is no bill moving through Congress. There is no payment schedule. That congressional piece is the most important thing to understand about this entire story. Congress controls federal spending. That is not a technicality. It's written directly into the United States Constitution. It's called the power of the purse. No president, regardless of party, can unilaterally send a $2,000 check to millions of Americans without Congress passing legislation that defines who qualifies, sets the income thresholds, and actually appropriates the money. As of today, no such bill has passed. No vote has been scheduled. Until that changes, the checks do not exist as a legal reality, no matter how many times they are discussed in interviews. Some analysts believe the timing of these checks, if they do eventually move forward, may be tied to the 2026 midterm elections. The thinking is that a direct payment to millions of households would be a powerful political tool, particularly for Americans who are frustrated with rising prices, concerned about the ongoing conflict with Iran, and looking for tangible relief. Whether that political calculation plays out into actual legislation is something only time will tell, but it is worth understanding that political motivation and legislative action are two entirely separate things. Now, a direct word for anyone receiving Social Security retirement benefits, SSDI or SSI. Secretary Bessent's stated income threshold of $100,000 or less is framed around taxpayers, people who file federal income tax returns. That framing raises a real and unanswered question for SSI recipients specifically, because SSI is a needs-based program that is not tied to work history or tax filing. Whether SSI recipients would be included in the eligibility criteria has not been confirmed because the legislation that would answer that question does not yet exist. People receiving Social Security retirement or SSDI who also file taxes would more likely fall within the stated income range, but again, none of this is settled. Here is what you should actually do right now based on what we know. Do not make any financial decisions based on receiving this money. Do not defer a bill, skip a payment, or count on this check arriving at any specific time. The timeline has moved 3 times already. When a real payment program is signed into law, you will hear about it from official government sources, SSA.gov, IRS.gov, and Treasury.gov. Those are the only 3 places you should take payment news from, not social media, not YouTube thumbnails, not headlines that say it's official when nothing has actually been signed. Make sure your direct deposit information is current right now. Every past stimulus program, the 2020 economic impact payments, the 2021 checks, used bank account information already on file with the IRS and Social Security Administration. If a program like this does eventually pass, the same infrastructure would almost certainly be used. You can log into your My Social Security account at ssa.gov today and confirm your direct deposit details today. It takes about 5 minutes and costs nothing, and it means you wouldn't miss a payment if one is authorized. Protect yourself from scams. There is no registration portal for this program. There is no sign-up form. There is no website where you enter your information to claim your check. Any phone call, email, text message, or website asking for your Social Security number, Medicare number, or bank account details to register for the dividend or secure your payment is fraud. Report it immediately at reportfraud.ftc.gov. Here is the honest bottom line. The financial pain that is driving this conversation is completely real. Food prices up nearly 20%, gas costs rising, fixed income Americans being squeezed from every direction. That is not exaggerated. The desire for relief is legitimate and understandable. The idea of a tariff dividend check has been discussed at the highest levels of the current administration, and the income eligibility framing from Secretary Bessent suggests real thinking has gone into who would receive it. But a policy idea, even one discussed repeatedly by the President and Treasury Secretary, is not a payment program until Congress acts. The timeline has shifted from Q1 2026 to mid-2026 to end 2026, and then in a recent interview with the New York Times, when pressed directly on when these checks would actually reach Americans, President Trump said they would arrive sometime. That single word is the most honest summary of where this program stands right now. When there is something official to report, a bill passed, a confirmed amount, a real payment date, we will cover it here with the same straightforward breakdown you just watched. Until then, stay informed from official government sources only. Keep your direct deposit information up to date. Protect your personal information, and do not let any headline make financial decisions for you. Your money and your security are too important for that.